At its peak, the Roman Empire controlled over 5 million square kilometers of land. It governed 70 million people and a quarter of the entire world's population. Its roads, laws, and language shaped every civilization that came after it. But it started as nothing, a tiny village on a muddy river in central Italy. This is the complete story of Rome, how it rose, how it ruled, and how it fell. Around 753 BC, according to Roman tradition, a city was founded on the banks of the Tiber River. Its name was Rome. Legend says it was founded by twin brothers, Romulus and Remus, raised by a she-wolf after being abandoned as infants. Romulus killed his brother in a dispute over the city's walls and declared himself its first king. For its first 250 years, Rome was a kingdom ruled by 7 kings. But the Romans grew to despise monarchy. In 509 BC, they expelled their last king and did something radical. They created a republic. Power would no longer belong to one man. It would belong to the Senate, a council of elected representatives. 2 consuls would lead, elected every year. No one man could rule for too long. And then Rome began to conquer. Slowly at first, neighboring tribes, rival Italian cities. The Roman army was unlike anything the ancient world had seen, disciplined, organized, relentless. By 270 BC, Rome controlled the entire Italian peninsula, but that was just the beginning. To the south, across the Mediterranean, sat Carthage, a powerful empire based in North Africa. Rich, naval and ambitious, Rome and Carthage were on a collision course. The Punic Wars, 3 brutal conflicts fought over more than a century, would decide who controlled the Mediterranean world. Rome won all 3. The Second War produced one of history's greatest military commanders, Hannibal of Carthage. He marched his army, including war elephants, over the Alps and into Italy itself, crushing Roman armies in battle after battle. For 15 years he ravaged the Italian countryside, and yet Rome refused to surrender. They rebuilt, they adapted, they outlasted him. By 146 BC, Carthage was destroyed so completely that Romans reportedly salted the earth so nothing would ever grow there again. Rome now dominated the Mediterranean, but victory brought a new problem. War had made the rich richer and the poor poorer. Soldiers returning home found their farms gone, bought up by wealthy landowners. Inequality tore at the fabric of the Republic. Generals began using their armies for political power. Alliances were made and broken. Civil wars erupted. The Republic that had lasted 500 years was beginning to tear itself apart. And then came Julius Caesar, general, politician, conqueror of Gaul. In 49 BC, he crossed the Rubicon River with his army, an act of treason that plunged Rome into civil war. Caesar won. He made himself dictator for life. He reformed the calendar, restructured the government, and became the most powerful man in the world. He lasted 1 year. On the Ides of March 15th, 44th BC, a group of senators stabbed him 23 times on the floor of the Senate. They called themselves liberators. But his death didn't save the Republic, it destroyed it. From the chaos that followed emerged one man, Caesar's adopted son, Octavian. He defeated his rivals, consolidated power, and in 27 BC was given a new title by the Senate, Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. The Republic was over. The empire had begun. Under Augustus and the emperors that followed, Rome reached its greatest heights. Roads connected every corner of the empire. Aqueducts brought clean water to cities. Trade flowed from Britain to Egypt to the borders of Persia. The Colosseum, the Pantheon, the Forum. Rome built monuments that still stand 2,000 years later. For 2 centuries, a period historians call the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. The empire was stable, prosperous, and powerful. It was arguably the greatest civilization the ancient world had ever produced. But empires don't last forever. By the 3rd century AD, the cracks were impossible to ignore. Barbarian tribes pressed relentlessly at the borders. The army that had once seemed invincible was stretched thin across thousands of kilometers of frontier. In just 50 years, between 235 and 284 AD, Rome had over 20 different emperors. Most were assassinated. The empire had no stable leadership and no political center of gravity. The economy collapsed. To pay its armies, Rome debased its currency, reducing the silver content of coins until they were nearly worthless. Inflation spiraled, trade broke down, cities shrank. Then came plague. Successive pandemics tore through the empire, killing millions and devastating the tax base and military recruitment Rome desperately needed. In 285 AD, Emperor Diocletian made a dramatic decision. The empire was too large for one man to govern. He split it in two, a Western Empire centered on Rome and an Eastern Empire based in the new city of Constantinople. The Eastern Empire thrived. Constantinople was rich, defensible, and brilliantly positioned on the Bosphorus Strait. It would survive for another 1,000 years as the Byzantine Empire. The Western Empire was not so fortunate. Weakened, underfunded, and politically unstable, it became increasingly dependent on the very barbarian soldiers it had once fought to fill its own armies. Then came Attila the Hun. In the 440s, he led the most feared army in the world on a devastating campaign across Europe, demanding tribute and leaving destruction in his wake from the Rhine to the walls of Constantinople. Rome paid him off twice. The empire that had once salted the earth of Carthage was now bribing nomadic warlords for peace. In 410 AD, something happened that shook the ancient world to its core. The Visigoths sacked the city of Rome itself. For the first time in 800 years, the Eternal City had fallen to an enemy. Augustine wrote that Christians across the empire wept. Rome had seemed eternal, divinely protected. Its sack felt like the end of the world. Over the following decades, the Western Empire disintegrated piece by piece. Britain, Spain, North Africa, Gaul. One by one, Roman provinces fell to barbarian kingdoms. By 475 AD, the Western Emperor was a 16-year-old boy named Romulus Augustulus, named after Rome's legendary founder. The irony was not lost on history. In 476 AD, a barbarian general named Odoacer deposed him. He didn't even bother declaring himself emperor. He simply sent the imperial crown to Constantinople and declared the Western Roman Empire finished. September 4th, 476 AD, the date historians mark as the fall of the Western Roman Empire. 1,229 years after Rome's founding. Gone. What followed was dramatic. The sophisticated infrastructure Rome had built, roads, aqueducts, sewage systems, trade networks, crumbled without the empire to maintain them. Europe's population shrank. Literacy fell, cities emptied. Knowledge survived mainly in monasteries where monks painstakingly copied ancient texts by hand. Without them, much of what we know about the ancient world would have been lost entirely. But Rome never truly died. Its language became French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, Romanian. Its legal system formed the foundation of law across the Western world. Its religion became the dominant faith of Europe and eventually the world. The very governments we live under today carry Rome's DNA. Representative senates, written constitutions, the concept of citizenship, all Roman. Rome fell. but it never really left. Every time you use the Roman alphabet to read these words, every time you follow a law, every time you drive on a straight road, you are living in the shadow of Rome. That's the complete story of the Roman Empire. From a village on the Tiber to the greatest civilization the ancient world had ever seen, and the long shadow it cast over everything that followed. If you made it to the end, subscribe to Echoes of the Past. We cover stories like this every Tuesday and Friday. And drop a comment below. Which empire should we cover next? The story of humanity is just getting started.